Should former UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya stop fighting after going 1-4 in his last 5 fights in the UFC? Hi, my name's Chris. I am one half of the hosting team of the ugliest show with the hottest takes, the Weigh-ins Bros Combat Sports Show. And I'm going to ask the question today, should Israel Adesanya stop fighting? Now, before we get into all of that, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you all to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share with everybody. If you like all of the things we do in here, whether it be boxing, whether it be combat sports, whether it be pro wrestling, we talk about a little bit of all of it. Now, right now, let's talk about Israel Adesanya. He's gone 1-4 in his last 5 in the UFC, and a lot of people are saying, should Izzy pack it in? Is he done? Is he finished? Is he going to fight anymore? I mean, at the end of the day, none of us really know. But one thing that you have to do is you have to go all the way back and take a look at where it all started for him in the UFC. We're talking about a guy who's 24-5, and when he showed up, he was already 12-0. So that means that 17 of these fights have been in the UFC. And that's insane if you think about the amount of fights, because if you look back and you take a look, his third fight in, he was already fighting for 5 rounders. So that means out of those 17, less 2, 15 of those fights were scheduled for 5-round fights up until his last fight. Think about that. Think about that kind of pressure. Right out the gate, performance of the night, performance of the night, performance of the night, fight of the night against Anderson Silva. Then we get into that war that just got inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame for the fight against Kelvin Gastelum. We saw what happened there. Izzy's back in the corner, lip all hanging off. I'm ready to die. That was at that moment you were like, oh, man, this dude is for real, for real. He is about that. Ends up getting fight of the night in that one, obviously, right? Then they build this thing because Robert Whittaker is on this parallel path, and he was the dude that nobody could beat. Nobody could figure it out. Robert Whittaker, the toughest guy in the middleweight division. And they created this. This was the Rocky and Apollo moment, right? Because these two dudes went at it. And that's where Izzy ends up winning and unifying the middleweight championship. Again, performance of the night. Defends it against Yoel Romero, defends it against Paulo Costa, decides to move up in weight, right? Because those 2 fights weren't all that exciting. So he's like, well, I got to give the audience something. I got to perform. Goes up in weight against Jan Blachowicz and ends up getting, beat in that because Jan Blachowicz was just massive. Like Izzy barely came in weight for anything. I don't even think he came in, close to the light heavyweight the middleweight weight class. So he goes back down, hooks up with his buddy Robert Whittaker again. They have another banger, 5 rounds again. Goes in, Jared Cannonier beats him again, defends the title, and then this dude, the boogeyman, Izzy's boogeyman, comes over from kickboxing, and he's on this path, and they're fast tracking him. Izzy's still chugging along, working for these 5 rounders. All of this other stuff, ends up fighting Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira ends up knocking him out. Izzy's got to get his lick back, though. Comes back, knocks out Alex. Now, at this point, it was right after this. Then he fights Sean Strickland, Dricus du Plessis, and Nasruddin Imavov, and loses those 3. Is there any shame in any of this stuff? Absolutely not. Did Izzy fall off of his track? Absolutely not. I think that the importance of the competition in this weight class got a lot better. Here's the one thing that you got to remember. All of these guys for years and years and years have been training to fight Izzy. Whereas Izzy has just had, I can only fight these guys as they show up, right? Everybody's wanting to fight Izzy. And you look at how the weight class works out right now, and let's take a look and what is left for Izzy inside of this weight class? Who can he fight in here? Because, there's a lot of dudes. There's some fun fights. Now let's get into that. Because at the top, we've got DDP. I'm not talking about Diamond Dallas Page. I'm talking about Dricus du Plessis, right? His South African brother. We saw what happened there. DDP has handled himself as a champion, and he's doing great things. Absolutely, no doubt about it. And I think there's a lot of pressure off of Izzy from not being the champion, and now he can go just have some fights, right? Figure it out, have some fights. Don't worry about the pressures anymore. The number one contender was Sean Strickland. We saw what happened there. I don't think that that's a fight that ends up getting rematched for Izzy anytime soon. But again, all of these speculations that I'm telling you could be completely wrong because I don't know. I'm not the matchmaker. We're just having some fun. We got some hot takes over here. But I don't think this fight happens either. And we saw what happened with the number 2 guy. I think this is the guy who's fighting for the belt next. I think Imavov is the guy who's fighting DDP for the belt next. I think Sean Strickland, has some other issues to figure out, but I got another video coming out to talk about him shortly. I think that if you think about the number 3 guy, Khamzat Chimaev, I don't think that is a good fight for Izzy right now, who's the number 4 guy. And I think that Khamzat is more interested in fighting for a title right now. I think that Khamzat might be a guy that fights Sean Strickland next, to be honest with you. And those 4 guys, kind of like keep the mix at the top going right now, because below Izzy is the number 5 guy, Robert Whittaker. And we've talked about this and the wars that they've had. I think Robert Whittaker might be in the same kind of position as Izzy is, as far as like trying to have some fun fights, but maybe the days of having that title run are gone. Below that is a guy that I think should be fighting Robert Whittaker next, because I don't think that this is a very fun fight. I think that stylistically, this doesn't match up very well for me with Izzy. And I think that Cal Barallo is on a tear right now. And I think that he's very deserving of breaking into that that top 5. And I think that doing that through Robert Whittaker might be the way to go. After that, we've already seen Izzy fight Jared Cannonier. We know how that ended up, so I don't want to see that again, which really kind of is a bad place and puts Jared in a really kind of a tough place. But what can you do? Marvin Vettori, we've already seen that fight as well, right? At the number 8 slot. The number 9 slot right now is Brendan Allen. And this might be the fight to go for, because the number 10 slot is Roman Dolidze, and I think Roman is another guy that should probably be in a bigger weight class. I think that Roman is a guy who, if you get him laying on top of you, that's not going to work out so well. I don't think that is an exciting fight. But this one right here against Brendan Allen, the number 9 guy, I do think if you're going to keep Izzy in that weight class, and he is going to keep fighting at that weight class, I think that this might be a fight that you look at. Then you ask yourself, does Izzy want to fight a number 9 guy? I think at this point, Izzy doesn't want to have the schedule of always having to be on, always having to take care of the pressers, always got to do the media, always got to be on weight, got to find time to train, got to find time for your family. I think Izzy just wants to fight right now. And I think that this might be the way to go. Get him in there with Brendan Allen. Let's see what happens. I think Brendan matches up very well with him. I think it's a tough fight. Might not be the most glamorous fight on paper, but if, like I said, if you're going to keep him in that weight class, I think this is the way to go. Now, if you're not going to keep him in that weight class and you're talking about just having some fun fights, then you got to ask yourself, what do you do with Izzy? Because inside of that weight class, there's not a whole lot of fun fights. I mean, you could have him and Robert Whittaker any day of the week, and we'll watch that. We want to see all of those extra rounds. Absolutely no problem. But I think that that's a lot of stress on it, right? I think that obviously what we saw in his last fight in Riyadh, also on that card, was a gentleman who I think that they were looking to try to match up. If I'm the UFC and I'm trying to make this match, because this is a money match, and I'm talking about Michael Venom Page. Because Michael Page had a fantastic outing, right, against Shara Bullet, and basically took the lead right out of that bullet. And I think that this is a fight that they were probably looking for. A couple of stand-up guys with, that aren't going to try to do any takedown stuff. And you're going to have a stand-up clinic between the two of them. When was the last time you saw a fight where you had such amazing striking from both guys that you didn't know which way that would go? I think that this is still a fun fight that you can make stylistically. I also think that another fun fight is this one right here, Stephen Thompson. I think that's a great stylistic fight for Izzy as well. Now, both of these fights are in different weight classes. You're saying to yourself, well, they're not as big as Izzy, but that's fine. That's fine. We're not talking about, you meet him at a catch weight, right? How about that? How about you meet at a catch weight just to have some fun fights? Would you like to see Israel Adesanya against Stephen Thompson? Let me know. I mean, I know I would. Absolutely. How about this one? Michel Pereira. I think this one is a kind of a little bit of a long shot. I think Michel Pereira, as he's been lately, might be a little strong for him. But I think, stylistically, you want to see those backflips. You want to see all of that movement. You want to see the parrying of Israel Adesanya and the wacky wildness of a Pereira. I mean, I'm all for that too. And then I'm going to throw one name out at you because this is a guy who always comes correct. He's always about it. Yeah, kickboxer just came over, right? Just came over from one. And this is a guy who's definitely going to stand up. He's had some great outings so far. I think this is a fight that could be a lot of fun too. Finally, I got to throw his name in there because this is my guy, Kevin Holland. Okay, I think that this is probably the biggest wild card, not even in the same weight class, but we're throwing hypotheticals out there, people. And I think that this is a guy who's always going to bring it. He's always in for a fun fight, right? He knows that he's not fighting for a title soon. So he might as well get paid. Kev, if you can get paid from a fight with Izzy, come on now, brother. Let's go. I'm here for every little bit of all of that stuff. So you have to ask yourself after that, is there fights for Izzy? I think absolutely there is fights for Israel Adesanya. I think that without a shadow of a doubt, Israel Adesanya, regardless of what some of these naysayers might be thinking, I don't think Israel Adesanya needs to go anywhere. I think Israel Adesanya needs to do exactly what Izzy wants to do, right? Take some time, brother. Do you. You don't need to fight, but you want to fight. It's in your blood. We all know that. And every one of us are going to be there to watch no matter what happens. Because you've given it to every single one of us every single time. The utmost joy watching you fight. So you let me know what y'all think. Should Israel Adesanya keep fighting? You can always do that by sending in an email. You can leave a comment underneath this video. You can like it. You can share it. Have your friends comment. What do you all think about Israel Adesanya fighting? Do you think you should just hang it up, become a coach? Become a coach. Maybe do an episode of the next season of The Ultimate Fighter. That would be kind of cool. Maybe you have Israel Adesanya, Michael Venom Page as coaches, Tough 34, right? Striking extravaganza. That could be a little fun. Who knows? Let me know what your hot take is, what you should do, what you think you should do with Izzy's career, or what Izzy should do with his career. Like I said, I'm Chris, one half of the hosts of the Wayans Brothers Combat Sports Show, the ugliest show with the hottest takes. And if you like what you see, please, like I said, hit that subscribe button. You can always hit any of us up at any given time. Till then, ladies and gentlemen, you just got to remember one thing. The world of combat sports